Hello. In Christmas, I'm always reminded of the Christmas spirit, charitability. Dr. Craig himself told us what the true Christmas spirit is.
It occurred to me that far from being incongruous with Christmas, this horrible tragedy is one that, in a sense, echoes the original Christmas, which involved the murder of these children by Herod. It's a reminder, really, I think, of what Christmas is for, what it's all about. This is God's entry into a world that is fallen.
Well, not the Sandy Hook Elementary School massacre, but according to Dr. Craig, the true Christmas spirit is...
This tragedy, I hope, will be a reminder to us of what Christmas is really all about, the deeper significance of Christmas, not just happiness and gift giving.
Jesus' self-sacrifice, or God sacrificing Jesus in order to save humans. Anybody who accepts Jesus is saved. For all we know, the shooter is also saved if he accepted Jesus before he died. Not to speak of the little children who are now by the side of God. In Dr. Craig's opinion, that is even better for them. So, thinking about it, their parents should be happy for them.
If you believe, as I do, in the salvation of infants or children who die, what that meant was that the death of these children meant their salvation. They were the recipients of an infinite good as a result of their earthly phase of life being terminated.
Dr. Craig is a professional philosopher using rigorous thinking and logic. Very often, at the beginning of a debate, he states that he is a professional philosopher, implying that professional philosophers, because they use logic, what they say is true. We will follow his rigorous thinking and logic.
As a professional philosopher, rigorous thinking, now in all of our reasoning, we have to be careful to follow the basic rules of logic, which have governed all valid reasoning since Aristotle.
Now, I am not a professional philosopher, but I think that my profession gives me a bit of an edge. As an interpreter and translator, my task is to extract the information content of a sentence, phrase, or paragraph in one language and express the same information content in another language. And what is that?
Proposition is the information content of a declarative sentence.
Proposition is the information content of a sentence. So those are propositions. I am dealing with propositions. Now, propositions can be false or true. But when we extract the information content of a sentence that William Lane Craig has said, he, being a professional philosopher using logic, it implies that what he says is true. We will follow his rigorous thinking and logic. And in this way, I will demonstrate to you the real charitable nature of Dr. Craig, who does atheist work for them, refuting his own, Dr. Craig's, arguments for the existence of God.
Richard Dawkins. He doesn't dispute either premise of the Kalam cosmological argument. Instead, he just complains about the argument's conclusion. He writes, even if we allow the dubious luxury of arbitrarily conjuring up a terminator to an infinite regress and giving it a name, there is absolutely no reason to endow that terminator with any of the properties normally ascribed to God: omnipotence, omniscience, goodness, creativity of design, to say nothing of such human attributes as listening to prayers, forgiving sins, and reading innermost thoughts. Response to number 10. Apart from the opening dig, this is an amazingly concessionary statement. Dawkins doesn't deny that the argument successfully demonstrates the existence of an uncaused, beginningless, changeless, immaterial, spaceless, timeless, and unimaginably powerful personal creator of the universe. He merely complains that this cause hasn't also been shown to be omnipotent, omniscient, good, creative of design, listening to prayers, forgiving sins, and reading innermost thoughts. So what? The argument doesn't aspire to prove those things. It would be a bizarre form of atheism, indeed one not worth the name, that conceded that there exists an uncaused, beginningless, changeless, immaterial, timeless, spaceless, and unimaginably powerful personal creator of the universe, who may, for all we know, also possess all the properties listed by Dawkins. Now, we needn't call the personal creator of the universe God if Dawkins finds this unhelpful or misleading, but the point remains that a being such as described must exist.
Now stop here. Let's hear this first part of Dawkins' sentence once again.
Even if we allow the dubious luxury of arbitrarily conjuring up a terminator to an infinite regress and giving it a name,
apart from what William Lane Craig says, the dig, the information content of this part of the sentence is if there is a God. But later we discover that William Lane Craig interprets the information content of this part of the sentence to be I agree with you that you have proved that God exists, or there is a God.
This is an amazingly concessionary statement. Dawkins doesn't deny that the argument successfully demonstrates the existence of a creator of the universe.
By this same logic and rigorous thinking, remember, the sentence if there is a God means God exists. We can judge William Lane Craig's sentences themselves.
If naturalism is true, then our cognitive faculties are the product of an evolutionary process.
Dr. Craig gives a definition for naturalism.
The definition I gave of naturalism, that is to say that the natural world is all there is, and that we should only believe what can be scientifically proven.
So, using logic and rigorous thinking, we will see that what Dr. Craig is saying here, if naturalism is true, what he means is naturalism is true. And he says that in support of Alvin Plantinga, who says if naturalism and evolution are true, so Dr. Craig is actually admitting, not denying, that naturalism and evolution are true.
If naturalism is true, then our cognitive faculties are the product of an evolutionary process which is not aimed at the production of true beliefs, but rather aimed at beliefs that help you to survive.
Remember the logic? The sentence, if God exists, actually means God exists. So that is what William Lane Craig is saying. Naturalism is true. Now, Dawkins admits that God exists. He is merely complaining that this argument does not also prove that God listens to innermost thoughts and so on. Dr. Craig, after admitting that naturalism and evolution are true, merely complains that the cognitive faculties are consistent with survival and not with truth. But he has admitted that naturalism is true, which means that naturalistic evolution has led to humans having evolved with a very complex brain, which gives humans the possibility of reasoning. In that way, scientists are able to create theories which are the best explanations for naturalistic phenomena. And no God is necessary for these explanations. But that's not even necessary because naturalism itself means that there are no supernatural beings. Dr. Craig is a very charitable person in an intellectual sense, and this is not the only instance when he has refuted his argument for the existence of God for the sake of atheists doing their work for them. I will show you other examples in future videos, but you yourself can easily find, using Dr. Craig's rigorous thinking and logic, similar charitable actions. him refuting his own arguments for the existence of God for the sake of atheists. Bye!